All right, let's jump right in. Are you smart enough to be fooled? It's a great question, isn't it? Because it points to this really weird paradox about how our brains work. Sometimes that feeling of being smart, well, that's the very thing that can get you into trouble. So have a look at this. You've probably seen something like it floating around online. One of those only people with a high IQ can solve this kind of brain teasers. And yeah, at first glance, it makes no sense. I mean, 4 plus 3 is not 21, but there's got to be a pattern, right? Let's work it out together. So, what if we add the numbers first? 4 plus 3 is 7. How do you get to 21 from 7? Oh, maybe multiply by the second number. 7 times 3? Yep, that's 21. Okay, let's see if that works for the next one. 2 plus 5 is 7. Multiply by the second number, 5, and we get 35. Bingo! We got it! So for the last one, 7 plus 4 is 11. Times 4, the answer is 44. So if you figured that out, maybe you got 44, you're probably feeling pretty good about yourself right now. And why not? It feels like you just joined the Smart Club. But let's be real for a second. Does solving a little brain teaser really mean you have a high IQ? And here is the plot twist. The answer? It literally doesn't matter. Not for what we're talking about today. See, that puzzle wasn't really a test of how smart you are. It was a test of how smart you think you are. And that's where things get really interesting. And honestly, a little bit dangerous. This leads us straight into a classic concept from psychology you've probably heard of, the Dunning-Kruger effect. Basically, it's a cognitive bias, like a glitch in our thinking, where people who have low ability in something, a specific skill, tend to be super confident and overestimate how good they are at it. And notice I said specific skills. It's not about being smart or dumb in general. And this chart from the original 1999 study just shows it so clearly. Just look at the bottom performers. On tests of things like grammar and logic, their actual scores put them way down at the 12th percentile. But when they were asked to rate themselves, they thought they were at the 62nd percentile. That's not just a little off, that's thinking you're above average when you're, well, not. Meanwhile, the top performers, they were pretty much spot on, sometimes even a little humble, underestimating their skills. And this quote from David Dunning, one of the researchers, just nails it. The first rule of the Dunning-Kruger Club is you don't know you're a member. It's because the same lack of skill that makes you bad at something also makes you bad at realizing you're bad at it. It's like you lack the tools to even see your own blind spots. It's a total double whammy. Okay, so right about now you might be thinking, all right, I get it. This is for those other people, the ones who aren't so skilled. But me, I'm pretty smart. My IQ is high, so I'm good, right? Well, I hate to break it to you, but that's a super common thought and it's completely wrong. This is because we have to separate two totally different ideas, IQ and RQ. Think of your IQ as the raw processing power of your computer, the horsepower under the hood. It's your memory, your processing speed, but then there's RQ, or rationality. That's the software you're running. It's your ability to make good calls, to base your beliefs on reality. And here's the kicker. Your standard IQ test, it doesn't measure your RQ at all. And get this, study after study shows that a high IQ gives you pretty much zero protection against all sorts of thinking traps. You've got my side bias, which is just our tendency to believe anything that confirms what we already think. You've got framing effects, where just changing how you phrase a question can completely change the answer. Smart people fall for these just as hard as everyone else. Your IQ is not some kind of vaccine against being irrational. So why are we all like this? Well, our brains are wired to take shortcuts. It's an evolutionary thing. It helped us survive by making quick decisions without overthinking everything. Super useful back then. The problem is, the modern digital world we live in, it's basically become a giant engine that's been purpose-built to find those very shortcuts and exploit them. And the perfect example is clickbait. It's not random, it's a science. Step 1, they create what's called a curiosity gap. They give you a little taste of information but hold back the key details so you feel like you have to know more. Step 2, they hit you with a big emotion, outrage, shock, whatever gets you riled up. And finally, that click, it's presented as the only way to scratch that mental itch they just gave you, and we fall for it. And it's not just about some writer being sleazy. As some experts argue, you should think of clickbait as a predictable behavioral outcome. It's what happens when our ancient brain wiring crashes into a digital world that's all about one thing, getting that click. In other words, it's not a bug in the system, it's a feature. It works because we work a certain way. All right, so we've established we're all vulnerable, but
But what about the kids? The digital natives, Gen Z, the generation that grew up with a phone in their hand. Surely they're different. They've got to have some kind of built-in BS detector for this stuff, right?
Well, let's take a look at Discord. It's a massive platform. And as you can see, Gen Z makes up a huge chunk of its users, over a third. This is their world, their digital home turf. And we're not talking small numbers here. That's more than 200 million Gen Z users. So researchers went into this exact environment to run a fascinating test. Could these digital natives tell the difference between a real person and an AI? The results, honestly, they're pretty sobering. Statistically speaking, they couldn't do it. They were basically guessing. They could not reliably tell the difference between a message from a friend and one pumped out by an AI. But that's not even the craziest part. Here's the twist that brings this whole thing full circle, right back to Dunning-Kruger. You'd think the people who use Discord the most, the real power users, would be the best at spotting a fake, right? Nope. The study found the exact opposite. This is wild. The people who said they were highly familiar with Discord were worse at spotting human-written text than the people who were new to it. Let that sink in. Their expertise, their confidence, wasn't just useless. It actually seemed to make them more vulnerable. So what does this all mean? Well, if the most digitally native generation can't tell human from machine on their home turf, what does that say about the rest of us? It means our own feeling of being tech-savvy is probably an illusion. Our confidence has nothing to do with our actual skill. So if being smart doesn't save you, and being young and tech-savvy doesn't save you, then what does? What's the real advantage in a world that's basically designed to trick us? It's this: intellectual humility. It's having the self-awareness to know what you don't know, to question your own gut feelings. It's that little voice in your head that whispers, hang on, what if I'm wrong about this? That is the real superpower in the 21st century. So, let me leave you with this. The biggest trap out there isn't some clever headline or a sneaky AI. The trap is inside our own heads. It's our confidence. It's the belief that we're too smart to be fooled. So now that you know that, how are you going to think differently?